Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you're having a awesome week. I am finally going to do the spirit run for my large batch of UJSSM. Let's do it. Hey guys, how's it going? Jesse here from Still It, and this channel is all about chasing the craft of home distillation and making it a legitimate hobby. So if that's what you're into, guys, have a look around this channel, check it out, see if it's right for you, and if it is, hit the like buttons, hit the subscribe buttons, and I'll catch you next time as well. Alright guys, you know, and I know that you know that I know that I have been insanely slack about running this still since before Christmas. I had a crazy Christmas, it was absolutely awesome, lots of fun, lots of family, lots of booze, but I haven't got much done out here in the shed because I've been a bit slack. So today, finally, I'm going to get this thing run, and I'm stoked about it because I have about 40 litres of low wines here ready to go into the still and make a kick-ass, I hope, UJSSM bourbon. Just in case you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I'll put a card up top for all of the UJSSM videos. It'll be a playlist for all of them so you can catch up on those. But in a nutshell, UJSSM is a recipe sort of promoted and developed by a dude called Uncle Jesse on the Home Distiller Forum. And the whole idea of the recipe is that it is a no mash, sugar wash, but corn, like actual corn flavored wash to imitate like a bourbon or a Tennessee whiskey or something like that. It's also a sour mash, which means that every generation sort of gets better and better. The last run I did was generation 1 through 4, which was good, but now I'm doing generation number 5, and it is a big ass batch of just generation number 5, so I can't wait. Let's get stuck in. The still's been sitting for a while now since I did that last stripping one, so I did want to give it a proper rinse out. I put the hose all through everywhere, give it a nice rinse out, and now I'm ready to charge it up with the low wines. Just letting you know too guys, this is the last run of UJSSM I plan on doing in a while. Who knows when I'll do it again. So what I did do last time I ran the stripping run was to freeze some of the back set. So if, okay, let's be honest, when I do another run of this UJSSM, hopefully that means that I can kind of jump straight in at the equivalent of generation number 6 rather than having to go all the way back to the beginning. So there is no way I trust myself to pour from this big keg into that 4-inch fitting. So I'm just going to do the first bit out of the keg and transfer it into here. From there I think I can probably just go straight from the keg. Woo, that smells good. I need to make a funnel. And the second keg. That smells... What the f... Okay, Houston, we have a problem. Turns out the second keg of UJSSM low wines are not as I remember it after stripping. But this does not taste particularly alcoholic to me. Definitely nothing over 20%, and it's quite sour. So I'm wondering if because I've left it for so long it's turned to vinegar. And there was actually a couple of fruit flies floating in the top, so I wonder if I left it open before sealing it a little bit too long, and I've ruined it. That's what I get for being a lazy ass mother. Whoa, that's a little heartbreaking. I don't know what to do about that. So I took a little bit of time out just to kind of get my head around this, and jumped on the computer, did a few little searches just to do a bit of a brain check and make sure that I wasn't doing the typical freak out, assume the worst, that sort of thing. I've just had another smell and another taste of the second keg of low wines, and while it is acidic, it doesn't really taste vinegary. And that made me remember that I took about 10 to 15 litres of wash that didn't fit into the stripping run and put it into the keg as well. So, two things to learn from this. One, I didn't take any records, I didn't have anything written on the keg. If I had done that, I probably would have remembered this from the beginning and not freaked out. Two, while obviously things can go wrong in this hobby and you want to make sure that you're checking to see if they do, It's not worth freaking out and always assuming the worst, and it's never worth throwing stuff out until you've run it through the still, unless you absolutely know 100% that it's absolutely bogus. So I've got two options now. I'm not going to throw it out. That's the third option. That's off the table. The two options are, do I run the keg that I know is good? It smells amazing. It smells like bourbon already. Do I run that by itself and then run this other keg afterwards, the one that smells a bit funky? Or do I just put them both in together and run it together? Right now, I gotta say that I'm actually leaning towards just putting it in together and running it, because I think that there's actually nothing wrong with it, and I think I was just stressing out. And obviously, when I looked at that stuff and saw that there was a yellow color to it, I probably should have realized that there was something like that going on. Yeah, this is what happens when you don't take records, you leave things too long, and you get lazy. Alright guys, I think I am all ready to go. In the end, I decided to say stuff it, that I was freaking out over nothing, and it's all gone into the keg, so let's hope I haven't made the wrong decision there. But I think I'm pretty much good to go. The boiler is starting to get warm. Can start it feel it getting warm right around here. The water is hooked up and ready to go when I need it. Keep that off for now, we won't waste the water. I really need to figure out a recirculating system, because I do feel bad about using this much water in summer. Yeah. I also have, where are we? All my cut jars are ready to roll with pens to mark it. I have almost finished cleaning the desk off. Man, I have been a messy bastard around here lately, but we're getting there, So I think everything is good to go. I'll come back when we have the first drips of 4-shots coming out. I have just found a small problem with the still. This is the water in, which is leaking only when the valve is closed, so the full pressure of the water is sort of built up here. I'm hoping that I can deal to that just by doing this little clamp up a little bit, but if not, I might just need to go outside and turn the hose off until I get a little closer to go time with the still. Let's see how we go. I don't want to tighten it too tight, because that's a plastic fitting under there, which makes me slightly nervous. Looks like that's done the trick though. Sweet! That leaking fittings kind of made me realize that I should probably go back and do a full check over the whole still, seeing as it has been sitting for a while and it hasn't been used for, I guess, maybe a month now. Like I've said in the past on the channel, the easiest way to do that is with a mirror, so I'm going to do that as soon as the still gets up to temperature, just to be on the safe side. You can probably hear that the boiler sound has changed now. It's dropped off in volume and become much more sort of stable. So it's time to kill the second element. So there we go guys, first drips out of the still. That's a little bit fast for me, so I'm going to try turning it down a smidge on this SCR here. And normally that takes sort of 30 seconds to take effect and settle in, but we'll see what we get. I took a couple of minutes just to adjust the SCR to where I want it, and this is what works for me with this size boiler at around about that ABV in the boiler or the still. It's sort of a broken stream, and this should give me about 80% right now, and then when it starts sort of heading towards hearts, it'll be down to about sort of 75%. That's kind of what I'm aiming for right now. But let's give it a few minutes. And now we've collected our 4-shots. So we got the 4-shots, and I'm going to put those over on the other side of the shed right now to go into my 4-shots jar when I get a chance. I'm just getting it out of here because I want to make sure that I don't get it mixed up or whatever. And that will go in here where all the petrol and everything is. It's not stored anywhere near the product that could be drinkable or be perceived to be drinkable. I just like to keep it separate. Up to you though. So now we are collecting for our heads. And I'm going to do this in a larger jar because I know that nothing that comes out for a little while yet I'm going to be using. So I will collect in a large jar here, and then once I've done that, then I'll start moving down to the smaller jars, and I will probably actually use even smaller jars than normal, like this, right around where I think the transition from heads to hearts is, and then that way I can effectively make more accurate cuts tomorrow or the next day when I'm going through and doing so by my senses and tasting and smelling them. It just gives me a smaller jar to decide on where that cut happens. So we are onto the 5th jar now, and I think we are starting to head toward hearts. So I'm going to go with the smaller jars here on in, like I said, so I can be a little more accurate with the cuts later on. Alright team, so we are now up to jar 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is under the tap right now, and that's probably, I'm guessing about 2 litres because they're odd sized jars, I'd have to add them up. But I've taken a little sample and proofed it down to about 35% I think, and I gotta say, I'm pretty happy. I'm glad I threw that other keg in there. We'll see what happens when we get through to the tails. Something funky might happen there. I'm glad I'm doing it as I'm doing it because that is tasting really good. I did, however, just realize that I have screwed up big time. Hold on, let me show you. This was the jar from the last UJSSM run I did that I was supposed to keep as White Dog. Yeah. And the reason I was supposed to keep it as White Dog was so I could compare generations 1 through 4 to generation 5. Man, I really did drop the ball over Christmas. Muppet. Anyway, I'm sure this will be tasty. Let's have a sniff. Yeah, it's smelling good, but I really wanted to keep it as White Dog to compare White Dog to White Dog with 1 through 4 amalgamated all together and 5 as 2 separate things. And the reason I wanted to do that is because the more I do stuff like this, the more I realize that after you put the wood in there, it changes so much. 2 identical blends put in 2 jars with seemingly very similar wood can turn out quite differently. And I wanted to compare like with like. It is what it is, but I can tell you from memory, this stuff tastes a whole lot better. To try and sort of describe that a little bit more, it just tastes more bourbon-y already. It has more butterscotch, more of that bite that bourbon has. I'm struggling to decide what to call it. It's somewhere between like salt and tree sap that you get in quite a lot of bourbons, which the Generation 4 one had almost none of. This has got a little bit of it, so it'll be interesting to see where that comes out through the run. While we're cruising along now and there's not a whole lot to do for a while with the still, I also wanted to take the chance to give you a bit of a rundown on something that's going on with the channel at the moment. You may have noticed that I've started doing a couple more live events or live streaming on YouTube like I did a while ago. And I think it's time that I really get stuck into that more. It's easier for me, it takes a whole lot less effort in terms of editing. I know it's a lot more broken up and there's a lot of sort of dead space and stuff, but it is what it is, and the cool thing is that it's easier for us to interact directly one-on-one, right? I can answer questions that you guys have about what I'm doing, or questions you have about distilling in general if I can help out, and if I can't, there's other people in the comments that can as well. So in my mind it's kind of the essence of Still It, but happening quicker and more personally, which I think is kind of cool. The reason I haven't been doing it is because it's tricky to let you guys know when I'm going to do it. A lot of you guys don't have Facebook, so I can't use that. A lot of you guys don't have Twitter, so I can't use that. And making a video to put on YouTube just to tell you that I'm going to be live, and in a couple of hours or the next day, is just a right pain in the ass for me. So the plan is that I'm going to get a mailing list together, and I'm saying this now so that I have to commit and get it sorted before Friday. So now that you guys are watching this, it should be ready, I hope. I'll put some links down below, and the idea is that whenever something like that is happening, I can flick you guys all an email, let you know. I'm not going to be spamming you or anything like that, but I figure it's the one way that if people actually want to know what's going on, it's the easiest way to get in touch with you. So I filled this jar up a little bit more so I could try and test it, and the reason for that is that my glass jar broke, unfortunately, or more specifically I should say that I broke it. Exactly 75% according to this, but what I haven't done is taken a temperature reading, so hold on. This is currently at 23 degrees, so it's too hot, which means it is less dense than it should be at 20 degrees, so maybe, I don't know, 74, 73 ABV, something like that. In any case, that's right around where I was hoping to hit, and I now have 2 jars. Let's actually see what this one is, eh? I really shouldn't mix them like that, but it is what it is. That one's pretty much the same as well. So I think we're doing good. Alright guys, we are up to jar 18 is under the tap right now, and things are going pretty well actually. We're still sitting a smidge above 70%, and I have a little sample from jar 11 and a jar 16 this is, both at about 35%. And I gotta say, man, they're pretty stable now. There's not a whole lot of difference between the two. One's a little sweeter and a little more buttery, and the other has a little bit more corn. So I'm hoping to get another, I don't know, another couple of litres or so before we start heading to tails. But all in all, I gotta say, things have worked out pretty well so far. So I guess once again, this is a little bit of a lesson in terms of pumping the brakes before freaking out too much like I did at the beginning of the video, and taking a little bit of time out if you need it before you make any rash decisions or whatever. I very nearly didn't run both of these together, and now that I'm getting this result, I think that would have been a mistake. I don't think I would have ruined anything, but it would have just wasted time for me, and I didn't really need to do that. It seems like one of those hobbies, the same as homebrewing, where new distillers and new homebrewers always tend to assume that they've screwed up and that whatever they're doing is wasted, and that you're just gonna have to throw it away, and it's you know, it's the end of the world basically. And I get it with these hobbies because there is a whole lot of kind of magic. There is a lot of stuff in the process of especially fermentation where you just don't have a whole lot of visibility on exactly what's happening or control over it even as well. So I understand it, and it is totally a human nature thing to kind of freak out and at least sort of think about the worst possibility. But I really encourage you guys to stick with it and don't throw anything away until you're sure that you need to. At the end of the day, if you've done some research and you're following best practices, it really is quite hard to screw something up so bad that you can't use it. So those of you that have been watching the channel for a while will know that I generally try to pick where the cut is going to happen while I'm running it on the still, so I can come back the next day and check if I was right or if I was wrong, and how I can adjust for next time. And today, on the back row, I'm thinking the cut is going to come somewhere between those jars that are different sizes, and I think I'm going to make the choice that this is going to be in, this is going to be borderline, and that is going to be out. And from here on, everything's going to be in. That's my guess. We'll see if I'm right. This is jar number 32, and as you can see, it's starting to dip under 40% now. So things are starting to wrap up now. I've still got a bit of time left, obviously. I'm only down to about 40%. But I have been doing some more research on the topic of kind of cuts and blending specific for UJSSM. And I'll go into that more in the next video. But for right now, I think that from what I've seen, it is definitely worth me going down into the deeper tails to try and find some more flavors there. So I think I will go down to about 20%, see how I'm feeling. I might go down lower if I can be asked, but that's the plan for now. Whew, I needed that. It's just water. But I really did need it. Anyway guys, this is jar number 38, and it is sitting just under 20%, about 18% I think, after adjusting for temperature. I'm about done. I'm going to do one more jar I think, and then I'm going to clean up and go chill for the rest of the night. And I'll come back next time, which will be another video to blend this stuff all together. So anyway guys, thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate it. If you liked the video, like it. If you really liked it, have a think about subscribing so you don't miss anything. And I will catch you guys next time to blend this stuff. See ya.